Oh, damn it! I tried to do a stupid throat noise there, but my throat disagreed.
Nice. So yeah, fighting games are fair throat noises, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. That's it for today. No, none of the good old macho manness there. All right. I don't believe there's been a whole lot of big fighting game news this week. They did just reveal Whip yesterday, which
Yeah.
dates this recording, but I think anyone who's actually been listening to these by now knows that they're like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, fighting games are is the best news podcast because we're always 2 weeks out of date. By design.
Yes. Yes, and not only that, because it's on a 2 week structure, that means we're also, even at the time, talking about stuff that's often like 13 days old. So,
Yeah.
oh man. All right. Yeah, Whip looked like Whip. I only watched part of her trailer because I was like going to watch to the end, and I was like, wait, I don't care about Whip, and I stopped.
Yeah, similarly, I haven't watched the last two reveals that I remember. Actually, that was Dolores. I don't know. I don't remember if I watched her reveal, but I didn't watch Hyder and I didn't watch it because I trust SNK to just be like, hey, here's the characters from fucking '98 or whatever. They work the same way, but now it's just
Yeah,
3D model doing the things. Woohoo!
yeah, yeah. By the way, Dolores looks very awesome. She looks, she's got a lot of Bayonetta kind of feeling to her, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
Hercules is also made of hair.
well, on one hand, that would make no sense because she's blonde and her clothes are black, but at the same time, she's kind of still got that Bayonetta-ness to her where you'd almost believe it. The Other than that, no, I don't think there was much news for KOF, which I will say I do like the new showings so far. Have there been any other new characters other than Dolores and the little Shinai rival?
Whose name we always forget, but it starts it on S, I believe, and it's four letters, words. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean there was one piece of news, which is that there's gonna be the open beta on starting the 19th of this month on PS4 and
Oh
5.
yeah, yeah. Kind of sad because I can't do it. Oh man, I do have for the most part internet. Well, not internet back. No, that's a lie. But I can come back to recording with you guys. But that one hurts.
Yeah.
Was there any news on? Oh,
Yeah.
Street Fighter Five revealed their newest cover, which
Oh yeah.
is fucking atrocious.
Yeah, the way I came
They're coming
across
out with
it.
a new edition with this one including all the season 5 stuff, right?
Yeah. And the way I came across
Eddie?
it was yeah. I'm here.
Oh no, what happened to Eddie?
Did he?
Eddie, no! I
All
can't
right.
believe they've
I
killed
guess
him.
he's I guess he's deaf now. Um all right. I like having technical issues.
Were you talking that whole time?
Yeah.
And you could hear me, but I
Yes.
couldn't hear you?
Yes.
Bizarre. Okay, I've never run into that issue before. Okay. So, you would think the internet would, like, the internet outage would be like, I could still hear you, but you couldn't hear me, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they revealed the cover for the new edition of Street Fighter V. They'll include the Season 5 content, pretty well all of the content, really. And it looks pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, I came across the cover with the caption the designer for the new Street Fighter 5 cover cover special was graphic design.
Yeah. Yeah, it very much reminds me of the Devil May Cry 5 special edition cover, where it's like we just put all the characters on here, slightly off center, and they're kind of low resolution pics of the characters. There's just shit all over it.
I liked my favorite part of the cover is that I saw Necali, and then I think I saw Necali again, but I can't be sure.
I wouldn't put Macaulay on the cover at all.
He was in the back, like in the background. There's normal Necali who was easily recognizable, and I think there may have also been like the freaking the standy up hair Necali as well, but I'm not sure.
That'd be funny, yes. Macaulay, he was kind of cool, but then they just kind of didn't like. He's just kind of there.
You know, we all know that the cover for season 5 should have been Ed and Luke going at it. Like not even like the verse the actual renders of the characters are the better, but just have those two on the cover and no one else.
Well, you can't leave out Alex with his McDonald's fries hair.
I mean, if you want the best stuff, then it needs to be a fatal 4-way with Ken, Alex, Luke, and Ed. And there's someone.
Why does Capcom not know?
Yeah.
Why does Capcom not know how to do blonde hair on dudes?
Why does Capcom keep insisting on making blonde hair on dudes? If they can do it.
Because that's how Japan perceives Americans. Aren't all 4 of those dudes Americans?
I don't know what Ed is. Like I don't know what Ed could be considered because he's just a Bison clone, isn't he?
He is, yes, he is.
So yeah,
but he was raised by Balrog, and Balrog's super American,
which obviously turned his genetics into American genetics. But yeah, and Luke, I don't remember if they ever said what country Luke is supposed to be from. He may be Puerto Rican because of the stars.
Ooh, I doubt that.
I'm memeing because he's obviously not Puerto Rican.
Yeah. I don't know why Capcom would do a Puerto Rican character.
I mean, if they did a Puerto Rican character, like I'd be insulted for Puerto Rican people if it was Luke.
Yeah. I'm trying not to judge Luke before we really see him, especially because the truth is Street Fighter 5 ain't gonna be his real debut anyways.
Yeah.
I will say he raises interesting questions for Street Fighter 6 because it's like, look at these new character designs, generic men all over the place.
Yep.
Let
us show you the future Street Fighter, and it's the scrap design for Adom from SF1.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like, you gotta have some character designs that are a little bit less mundane than a little bit more mundane than others. Because obviously Ryu's not exciting as loads of fucking characters on the Street Fighter cast, right?
Yeah. But I mean, the actual character can make that unique in their own way without their design. Because like, think of Ryo, think of Kim Kapan, think of fucking Mr. Karate. Ryu and Mr. Karate are not only do both of them wear the same clothes as Ryu, they are the same character. And yet,
yeah.
Well, aside from the times when Takuma was Mr. Karate, I think. But yeah.
Well, I mean, if they want to make Luke a separate character, I gotta be honest, like, they're kind of stuck there because they can't go like, oh, he's the all-American hero because that's Guile's job. But at the same time, they can't have him be, oh, the American punk with attitude because that's Alex's job.
Yeah, like it's like Necro. He feels a bit like Necro or like 12 to me. Like, you know, he's not the character like Necro. I can see people wanting back because like Necro actually leaves a freaking on. Like Necro has some character to him. 12's character is that he has no character. But like, you know, like Luke is the character, and we didn't know what we wanted to do, so we just kind of put things together, and it just went wrong. Because like his design is simultaneously very generic and very loud.
Yeah.
And
It'd be fun if they made him.
Yeah.
It'd be fun if they made him an arrogant asshole who is also just happens to be a good guy, even though that'd kind of be a rip on Johnny Cage.
I guess, I don't know.
Anyways, let's see. Were there any other bits of fighting game news these past couple of weeks? It's been kind of a slow period. Has there been anything for Guilty Gear lately?
Not that I could tell. I mean, it's more of the same. People are complaining about Totsugeki, and what else does the slime community even do aside from that?
Complain about patches that.
I guess I don't know. I don't see that many people complain about the actual patches. Well, okay, people complain about the patches initially, but like they seem to get used to them fairly quickly. So
Yeah. Have they revealed anything about Dungeon Fighter in the last 2 years?
No, it's dead.
Okay. That's still what Team Blue is up to, right?
Team Blue is stuck in limbo. They are actually. I think I heard that Team Blue is making the Blaze Blue RPG game or whatever the hell it is.
Oh no!
They have been sent to the salt mines to work for the rest of eternity.
Well, to be fair, I'm pretty sure that's what everyone at Arxis wanted out of Blaze Blue from the beginning. That was a fighting game that existed to prop up a story. Ordinarily, it's the other way around. I mean, I don't know why they even bother making it a game. Shouldn't Blaze Blue just be a visual novel series or an anime series or a manga?
I don't know. Like I think the thing that sets Blaze Blue apart is that if it was like a visual novel, no, not even it wouldn't work as a visual novel because we've seen what it would work as a visual novel in Central Fiction, I think. And then, like as an anime or a manga, it wouldn't stick out because Blaze Blue is very basic shonen shit for the most part, and then also Jin Kisaragi wants to fuck his brother for some reason. But
well, isn't that pretty much everything on the shonen market? Aren't they all pretty well different varying ripoffs of Naruto or Dragon Ball?
I mean, you're making a difference when there is none. Naruto is a ripoff of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, I'm not even saying this as a rip on Naruto, because I prefer Naruto to Dragon Ball. I genuinely, I don't think I like Dragon Ball that much. But at the same time, Kishimoto, I'm pretty sure, has gone on record saying, yeah, I've been very inspired by Dragon Ball. And if you're inspired by Dragon Ball to the point that one of the main characters in the story is named Roshi, and his superpower is named Son Goku, I think you're treading a bit too close.
No. That's like you're overrating that character's significance. That's a little bit character. You know, you can have the little homages and the little characters. Like I'll be honest, I don't want to praise Naruto, but I do think that it's being overly reductive to say Naruto's a ripoff of One Piece. I mean, not One Piece, no, Dragon Ball. There's inspiration in parts, of course, but broadly speaking, Dragon Ball is a very direct, simple kind of plot. You know, Goku. There's a new monster every arc. Goku, for whatever reason, is delayed from fighting him for a while. The monster goes around and kills all of Goku's friends. Then Goku finally gets around to killing the monsters and then resurrects his friends. And Vegeta is there, and he just kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's not true for most of Naruto, and then the last arc starts. And that's kind of the last arc. Like the last arc of Naruto is the worst. Just straight up.
Yeah,
it's yeah.
For one thing, death in Naruto is actually permanent, which is bizarre. Like, does anyone come back from death in Naruto other than Orochimaru?
I don't even remember who dies, which is kind of an issue.
The third Hokage.
The Hokage's come back from death technically, but it's through Orochimaru's bullshittery. 'Cause basically, what happens is Sasuke beats up Orochimaru until he summons the Hokage's bodies and reanimates them.
Well, they're just zombies. That ain't the same.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird the freaking distinction to make there, because they are just zombies. Like, they don't live, but they do still have their like intelligence and stuff. So they're not just zombies technically, but they're
but aren't they like mind slaves that need to be put down because they just become evil versions of themselves?
That's how it's supposed to be working if Orochimaru just did it on his own, but because Sasuke beat him up. Sasuke also beat him until he lifted the curse so they would be alive, but not under Orochimaru's spell. It makes no sense. Well, it makes no sense with the amount of information the show gave me, at least.
Was that all just one big excuse to have Naruto finally get to meet his dad?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Anyways, let's get off Naruto.
Yeah.
To get back to fighting games, let's see. So, what are the other big fighting games? There's not been news for Tekken for a hot minute, has there?
I mean, I don't know what more else they could do, because like they can do more DLC seasons if the DLC sells well, but I don't think I'm pretty sure the sales have been declining just because of Namco's inability to retroactively put rollback into a 3D game, which is pretty fucking impossible at the moment, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Like that is going to be kind of part of the thing, is as rollback continues to grow and increasingly define the fighting game discussion, the fighting game narrative, the question with Tekken is just increasingly going to be, okay, when will you guys just make a Tekken 8 that has rollback in it from the start?
Yeah.
Because adding it to a game that's already existent, that's fucking nightmare.
And not only that, but apparently Namco has been trying for a while, but they can, like, the base PS4 and Xbox One just breaks. It doesn't work on those. So it probably will have to wait until Tekken 8 just so they can drop the PS4 and the Xbox One and just support the Series X and the PS5.
Yeah, that's part of the question. Has Harada been sticking to that whole thing of, I don't like rollback because it messes with visuals?
No, not really.
All right.
The last time I heard him talk about rollback, that's what he said, that one of the reasons they can't put rollback into Tekken is just because there's not enough processing power in the base versions of or he didn't point out the base versions, but I'm assuming that's what's bottlenecking their progress. But he said that there's not enough power in the PS4 and the Xbox One there's not enough processing power in the Xbox One and the PS4 to actually support rollback with Tekken's 3D engine.
Yeah. Which will kind of pose a question, because Tekken is always like on the.
Actually, I'm wrong, because I think what he said was that technically they have tried to put in rollback, but it's like, because of the processing issues, it's not proper rollback. It's only half of what rollback is supposed to be. So that's where they are right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it does pose a question for Tekken 8 though, because like Tekken is always on the bleeding edge in terms of graphics. And I do wonder if that would pose a problem. Like, well, they might want to continue doing that in Tekken 8, and if rollback continues to take up a significant amount of processing power, they might have to sacrifice one or the other, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. The new gen consoles seem to have enough power to properly support both, at least from what I can tell. But then I'm not a game designer, so hey, like, I don't work in video games, so I wouldn't be able to tell.
There's that, and I also kind of feel like Tekken, with its stylized designs, is getting close to like hitting the peak of where they can go. Because there's only so realistic that you can make stylized designs be, you know?
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I don't know if it's the graphics that's holding it up, because Mortal Kombat can have rollback, and it's technically 3D, technically around the same amount of visual fidelity of Tekken and stuff like that. So I think what's actually being the issue here is that in Tekken you can move in the whole 3D space, where in Mortal Kombat you can't. That's what I was
going to say. It's the 3 dimensions, yes. That I am interested to see what Tekken 8 does. I'm hoping they don't really do anything in terms of new gameplay features. Tekken's this bizarre series where every game I'm like, man, I hope they change nothing.
Tekken is a series when I'm cautiously optimistic about the next game because they may be removing Rage anytime soon. They won't, but you know, I can hope. I fucking hate Rage
have
so
they removed
much.
systems before? Have
Well,
they removed systems
Bound is
before?
gone, technically speaking, so yes, I suppose.
What is gone?
Bound.
Bound, yes, Bound is more or less gone. Yes, that is correct. The trouble is that a lot of people got fucking angry over Bound, but I don't see that many people getting angry over Rage.
Yeah. I just can't stand Rage. I hate it so much. But yeah.
It always sounds like you're opposed to Rage on the principle of the thing.
Kind of. Like, it just doesn't make the game more fun for me. Like, I don't
it's like a forced comeback mechanic. Me personally, I like regular Rage, like was in Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag. I can deal with, but it's always been Rage Arts that pissed me off. I'm actually more or less fine with Rage Drives. I think they're more or less like an okay gimmick. I still think it's silly to have super moves in Tekken, but Rage Arts pissed me off. What?
Yeah.
The appeal to Tekken to me is like it's much more mundane, actual like hand-to-hand fighting without crazy superpower bullshit. Outside of a couple characters like Devil Jin, so the addition of super moves misses out on that appeal to me.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Rage that you do about Rage Drives, but you have to remember that I started Tekken with Tekken 3, and then I played all of Tekken 5, so I'm used to Tekken without the Rage stuff. So when Rage got introduced, to me it was just, oh, there's this glowy bullshit now, and the enemy deals more damage, and then freaking they can have a comeback, like they can have a comeback just out of their ass for some reason.
Yeah, I just never noticed a significant difference in damage numbers, personally. Like, you could absolutely be right. You've definitely fine with that. It's just personally never noticed a difference in numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons that I dislike Rage on 2 is also just because of the way it's shown. Because I don't like the glowing shit. Like that's the thing. A lot of people don't like characters like Akuma and Geese being able to do fireballs and stuff like that in Tekken 7. That's the stuff I'm fine with because I also grew up on games where Geese and Akuma were there, so I'm just okay. But when you introduce the glowing bullshit into Tekken, even though Devil Jin exists, I'm like, okay, that's unrealistic. A guy sprouting wings and flying all over the place and shooting people with lasers. Nah, that's cool. But you can't glow red.
Well, the problem isn't so much realism as it is internal consistency. Because a lot of characters like Xiao Yu have no superpowers. Or at least she has no indication that she has superpowers. So the fact that she turns red when she gets angry comes off a little bit as like, well.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the funny part. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
There has to be a visual representation of Rage, for it to be a thing, but I mean, that's kind of a lazy way to do it. Well, not lazy, because I hate using the word lazy in game development because it's overused and almost always inaccurate. But Rage is a very cartoony way of handling visual representation of that. Yeah. It does not fit for a game that otherwise in gameplay tries to look very, very realistic, even photorealistic.
Yeah, but similarly, just to call out my own hypocrisy, I am completely fine with the rage mechanic in Samsho, where it's even more cartoony. But I think that's kind of the point, because like Samsho's whole thing is that like it's a bit cartoony.
Samsho looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, Samsho looks like a cartoon, but there's also blood. So that's funny.
Yeah. So characters turning red in Street Fighter doesn't look terrible either, because Street Fighter is also like a cartoon.
Yeah. But now imagine Johnny Cage, instead of doing a fatality, he just turns red like a lobster, and then punches people really hard.
Did you not play with that variation in Mortal Kombat X? Johnny actually did turn red when his health got low.
That's funny that I pointed him out. Then
weird that you picked him specifically because he's the only one that has that mechanic in Mortal Kombat X. All of his green shadows turn red and do more damage.
Oh, but those are the shadows, not the actual guy.
Yeah, but it's kind of both, you know. Well, no, he turns red when he
I
does his
don't
shadow moves,
remember.
unless he's in the stunt double variation. The stunt double variation is the only one where he casts the shadow off. But in the other two variations, remember well, it's classic Mortal Kombat. He turns green when he does the move,
Oh
unless
no,
he's at
I
low
don't mean
health, in
that. I
which
don't
case he
mean
turns
like
red.
that. I don't mean that he turns colors. I mean that his skin gets this red tint.
Oh no, that would be funny though.
Yeah, like his skin just turns this red tint like a lobster, and then he just hits for like, I don't know, like 5 points more damage.
Fucking Johnny Cage turns into an Oni.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his next role. But yeah, so what else is there? Well, like NetherRealm overall is just not having any news from what I heard. Like there's the people talking about like MK. No, are people talking about MK12 or Injustice 3? I forget. But we might have discussed that last time as well.
It's a whole clusterfuck.
I see.
Like Maximilian Dude dropped a video last week, and because I've not been paying attention to it, I watched it, and it pretty well consisted of we don't know what the fuck's happening. It could be Mortal Kombat 12, it could be Injustice 3, it could be Marvel versus DC. Marvel versus DC is the least likely of the options, of course. And Max explicitly said Injustice 3 is the least exciting of the options because Injustice is Injustice. But at the same time, Mortal Kombat 12 is kind of boring because it's too soon, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, between those three, I'd be interested in Injustice 3 because I think by now NetherRealm is at least possibly recognizing, okay, the whole fucking full screen zoning bullshit is not fun for most people. Mortal Kombat 12 would be interesting just because we could see what the fuck they're planning with this whole reboot business. And we all got to pray to God that it's Mortal Kombat set in the past, right? Because that's what everybody wants, right?
Mortal Kombat back to the multiverse.
Like, we all got to want, if they're going to do any reboot bullshit, like, just do Mortal Kombat in the time of Great Kung Lao, right?
Sure.
Marvel vs. DC would obviously be hype for a lot of reasons, but I'll be honest, I don't want that one in NetherRealm's hands.
Yeah.
Like, I like NetherRealm, but I gotta be honest, like, NetherRealm was a bad choice for any superhero setting.
Yeah, but they were in house, so that's how they got it.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, the truth be told, if Marvel vs. DC was ever going to be a thing, I'd want Capcom to be at the reins, not NetherRealm. But
no, we need to make a distinction. We need to make a distinction. You'd want 90s Capcom to handle it.
Oh, Marvel 3 is still a good fighting game. Marvel Infinite is a great fighting game. It's just got a terrible budget.
True. After Marvel 3, I was going to say, when did Marvel 3 come out? Because I always forget that Infinite exists.
Marvel 3 was 2010. Infinite was 2015 or 2016. I forget which. Oh, man, I remember when Infinite got announced at E3, and I was so fucking hyped.
I remember the pre-order the pre-order exclusive item that you got with the like collector's edition.
Sigma, right?
No, the item, not a character, the item.
Oh, I don't remember that at all, no.
It was the Infinity Stones, and it was cheap plastic with LEDs under it.
Yeah. Boy, that game, you can tell, was just hardline focused by Marvel. Okay, we don't want you to have any budget, but at the same time, we want you to set up Infinity War.
Yeah.
What? Well, you know, the way I would set up Infinity War is definitely by having Thanos versus Frank West.
I mean,
that's one of the few moments from that fucking game.
For the next Marvel vs. Capcom should be freaking, like, it should be led in by Thanos doing the Shangoku Satsu, because he has the Satsui no Hado now.
Dude, they better if they do Marvel vs. Capcom 4, they better fucking acknowledge some of the shit from Infinite, because there was just too much potential set up by some of the stuff. Well, I think we can all agree that it was really lame that the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite story mode starts off with everyone having known each other for a little bit. It'd be way cooler if we saw them meet. But yeah, Thanos getting the Shigoku Satsu is fucking rad.
I mean, a way they
Frank,
could, yeah,
Frank West and Spider-Man hating each other is also awesome.
yeah. I mean, one way that they could do a setup like that is to have them trying to go against Changokusatsu, the freaking Thanos, and then he just sends them back in time with a time stone.
That would be pretty cool.
I forget if he still has the gauntlet. I think he might have like just dropped it off somewhere, but yeah.
He never got it. He never got it because they took it off. You remember they assembled it and gave it to Mega Man. So Mega Man made the Infinity Buster, and that's how they were able to beat Ultron Sigma, which is now aged poorly because of this stupid Sigma male bullshit. If they were to do a Marvel, you want to know what would be the most fan service-y heavy way to do a Marvel versus Capcom 4 story mode?
Yeah.
Have it where Thanos with the Shingoku Satsu is such a huge threat that the heroes have to team with the bad guys. And not only do you see the Marvel heroes having to team up with like Doctor Doom and Magneto, because we've already seen that happen. That's still fan servicey, but we've already seen it happen. But imagine a video game where you have to see Chris team up with Wesker.
Yeah.
Imagine a game where Dante and Virgil have to put up with each other, right?
And then Nero and V are also there.
Yeah. Oh God, Jill and Nemesis having to work together. That'd be a bizarre one.
Yeah. if you win a fight with Akuma and Ryu, the answer is Akuma breaking Ryu's arms.
That's the win pose.
Yeah.
Ryu starts celebrating, and then Akuma just casually walks over, breaks both of his arms, then walks away.
Yeah.
And Ryu's just sitting there with limp arms, like, "Aww." But Wesker has to reprogram Nemesis, so now Nemesis doesn't say stars, he says Thanos.
Yeah.
Oh man, you weren't there for it, but when they added Nemesis to Dead by Daylight, for a little bit they made it where whenever you logged into the game, Nemesis would say Dead by Daylight.
Oh. I'm trying to think of more stupid bullshit.
Have you seen Nemesis in Dead by Daylight yet?
I don't know. Probably not.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. This is still a fighting game podcast, of course, but I wanted to get it in to mention Nemesis is fucking funny to see in Dead by Daylight because every other killer is just very casually walking around, right? Nemesis is tearing ass across the field.
Nice.
All right. Anyways, let's see. Have we hit any? Of course, Virtua Fighter 5, whatever edition, didn't come out too terribly long ago, so there's not been news on that front. But
I mean, there's not going to be news on that front because I think if Sega like would want to make a new Virtua Fighter, which they probably don't after that didn't sell particularly well, I'm assuming. Like it probably sold good for like Virtua Fighters not being that exposed and stuff like that, or like being exposed after everyone forgot about it.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. But like I don't know if if it sold enough to make it warrant a sequel in Sega's eyes, and also the netcode stuff and how many people dropped off of the game because of it.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that can necessitate a sequel because they've explicitly said Virtua Fighter 5 is the last Virtua Fighter.
True.
Like, I think that if anything is ever going to come from the Virtua Fighter series again, it's just going to be a remaster or remake of Virtua Fighter 5.
Sega's gonna release a new game. It's Jeffrey McWild killing a shark.
Jeff McWild pro shark fishing.
Yeah. It comes out for the Switch, and you need to do punching motions so you can beat the shark up.
Well, here's the thing. If they did that, given that the publisher is still Sega, they could have hidden unlockable characters. And one of them could be... Come on, Come on.
Yeah, I'll catch you from Persona 5.
Yes, when I think of Sega fishing characters, I think of Akechi. No, you know what I'm talking about. You're always ready for him.
Min from Monkey Ball.
You're always ready for him. Come on, come on.
The freaking the dwarf from Golden Axe.
Oh, come on, the big buddy, the big buddy.
I think I'm running out of 7 characters, and I'm not going to kill you.
You can keep going with stupid Sega crossover choices. I've got one in my head right now.
Daytona USA car.
But that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. I'd like that. Yes. Oh, come on. Okay. Fishing game. It's the samurai from Total War Shogun 2.
Yeah.
No. Big the fucking cat. Big the fucking cat.
I thought you were talking about Kiryu.
No, you're going to Big the cat the whole time.
I forgot about.
I am disappointed you did not make the meme pick this time.
I mean, I did the meme pick this time because I spent all of the time just listening to players that not Kiryu. But yeah, I thought you were trying to be serious, so I thought of Kiryu because Kiryu is pretty known for fishing, and I forgot big existed words. But yeah.
Why would I say the big buddy for Kiryu?
Do you think I remember any of the lines Big said?
I would hope you remember Big Buddy.
Only you forget that pretty much the most of the exposure I had to Pig was in a Flash game. He found Froggy, or it was a Flash comic or not comic, whatever, a Flash animation. Yeah, he found Froggy, and Froggy is like, "Yo, Brig, stop crawling up my ass," or stop following me, Big, or something like that. I don't fucking remember what he said, but basically there was this animation of Big shoving the frog up his ass. I saw this.
I see.
I saw this when I was 6. It is why I am the way I am. I blame Big.
I see. And now Big sits behind every locked door watching us.
Yes. So anyway, fighting games. Yeah.
Don't have Big the cat in McWild Fishing Simulator. Just have him secretly hidden in every map, and you can just see him on the periphery.
Yeah. If you you get 180 degrees of camera movement, and if you turn all the way to the left or all the way to the right, you can kind of see Big, but not he's far enough that you're not sure if it's him.
Yeah. He gets a little bit closer though every time you reel the hook in.
Every time you catch a big fish, he gets closer, and then there's a rare chance that you catch a frog, and the game just blacks out.
No, every time you catch a frog, a light imprint of Big the cat appears on your screen, and every time you catch the frog, it becomes a little more visible. Once you catch the frog 10 times, Big the cat is fully visible on your screen, and just suddenly words start flashing on your screen. Big buddy, Mortis. Big buddy, Mortis.
And then he does the dance from Fate.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'd love a version of Faith that's just the thing is replaced by Big.
Yeah.
I have the body of a pig.
I have the body of the Big.
What I wouldn't give for a gun with one bullet.
So anyway, Fighting Games Podcast.
Has there been any Sonic the Fighters news lately?
I mean, I feel like it was added to Fightcade recently. Well, it recently was in the last 4 months.
They've been adding everything to Fightcade lately.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in it, but it sounds like actually getting the stuff would be kind of suspect.
Yeah, that's my thing, is that I don't know how to get the stuff. So too much effort. I'll just buy the re-releases by SNK and then cry when Maximum Impact is not one of them. I know Maximum Impact is one, or Maximum Impact, fucking hell. I know Maximum Impact sucks. I just want to play it. I just want to experience the stank for myself.
Yeah. like Maximum Impact and Street Fighter EX are both games that I know they're a little bit stanky.
Street Fighter EX it was good. It wasn't Street Fighter, but it was enjoyable.
Oh yeah, but it's still one can understand the sentiment of it looking a little bit stanky, you know?
Yeah.
And it like the characters look great in Fighting EX layer, but at the time it was a little bit goofy that there were so many characters who were just rips on Street Fighter characters interacting with Street Fighter characters.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, let's see. What else? What other fighting games are there even? Well, I guess there was Melty. Was Melty any real news?
They are trying to fix the netcode so it won't suck. Well, so what was the issue with Melty's netcode is that if someone skipped the intro cutscene, it would desync.
What?
Yeah, that was the that was the issue. That if someone skipped the round start intro animation, then the game defaulted to Street Fighter V's netcode, like before network match, network patch words.
That's funny, actually.
And so they're trying to fix that now.
Okay. Well, at least they know what the issue is, I guess.
Yeah.
I will say it's one of those unfortunate cases where it does seem like a bunch of YouTubers bounced off Melty, not only because of the netcode, but also because Melty is a notoriously defense-heavy fighting game.
I mean,
and most fighting game YouTubers by now are used to very offense-heavy fighting games like Marvel or Guilty Gear, you know?
Yeah. I mean, another thing with Melty is that I see a lot of people bouncing off of it because it has very heavy, like, auto combos.
It has heavy what?
Auto combos. It has a heavy insistence on auto combos in that, like, if you don't have the cleanest inputs, pretty much, then the game just goes into auto combos no matter what you do.
Ooh, that sounds strange.
Yeah, like I've heard people say that the multiplot has the worst case of auto combos in any game, really. Which is funny when you consider. Which is funny when you consider that release DBZ was just auto combos.
They can't be turned off, right?
No, they cannot. They are hardwired into the game.
Bizarre. Yeah.
And
anyways,
and there's a camp that complains about this, and there's a camp that tells those people that they should just clean up their inputs. Which, like you know, if the game takes that much effort, like you know, this is the thing where, like, is it really removing an execution barrier if there's another one introduced right after it?
I mean that's always the thing with pro fighting game with like mid to high tier level fighting games. Is that there's always kind of the thing of like, well, just clean up your inputs. Because like for other games, like you'd still need to clean up your inputs because rather than doing a custom combo, your combo just won't come out at all.
Yeah, I mean, cleaning up your inputs is fine, but from what I understand, you need to be perfect pretty much to do combos that are not auto combos.
Oh wow! So it's Street Fighter 4.
Maybe. I never learned how to do combos in Street Fighter 4.
Right. And because French Bread is busy with Melty, that means they're not going to be doing anything with Uni for a little bit, right?
You would assume, but I actually heard that they might be working on a new Uni. like the second part in the series, maybe.
Well, yeah, I guess they could have. Like, one part of the team is working on fixing Melty, but the most of the team may be focused on Uni. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially because they aren't a very DLC-heavy studio, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only DLC that I think Uni had was maybe the
guest dude, right?
Yeah, maybe the two guest characters and also Londrekia.
The guest characters aren't DLC.
Not in Unist, but in base Uni they probably were.
Oh, well, that's kind of different. That's kind of more so expansion packs. That's like old Street Fighter, you know?
I mean, aside from that, I think the only DLC that the games have are just like announcer, like the characters doing announcer voices and maybe palettes. But that's it.
Yeah, I think there are color palette DLCs. Which, if you're still doing sprite based fighting games, there's no reason not to sell color palette DLCs. You know?
Yeah,
Unless you're one of the old KOF games that had custom color palettes, because that entirely breaks the idea of it. But other than that, yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess we've just about run the gamut of most of the major fighting game series, come to think of it.
Yeah, I can think of any.
Came and went, didn't it?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to buy Soul Calibur 6, and then I thought about it, and I was like, Geralt, and then I didn't.
Wind's howling, huh?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean,
I own Soul 6 on Steam. I put like an hour into it and then never came back.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is that like I'm fine with Soul Calibur, like I like the series, but at the same time, it's like I don't know if Soul Calibur 6 specifically had enough content to make me want to buy it, and it also has Geralt.
Yeah, Soul Cal is a series that was always defined by its single player content to me, which means Soul Cal is out of place in the modern fighting game genre. Like, it's the weird thing where, like, Soul Cal isn't actually a series that I really enjoy the matches per se. It was always the single player content that kept me going. And in a modern era where single player content is largely viewed as not being that important, then I'm not going to play Soul Cal because I'm going to instead play games where the just inherent core gameplay has enough value to keep me going, even if there's no single player content, you know?
I guess.
Which is not Soul Cal. It's one of those flaws of the system we have now where so often single player content gets ignored. Which, then I wonder with situations like that, because it's not like the developers just have a say of like, you know what, we don't like single player content. We're going to break all the series norms and just leave that shit out. I wonder how much of it comes from nowadays fighting games being less profitable means they just outright get less budget. With a few exceptions like Tekken, which is still a baby for Namco, a Bamco, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even Tekken apparently didn't have a lot of budget, which is why things like the freaking the like which is why Harada became a liar with regards to legacy characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's probably part of it. And there's also, of course, the thing of like every character's story mode ending being the same as their arcade mode ending.
You mean there not being an arcade mode? That's the actual way to put that.
There is an arcade mode. The endings are just recycled.
There are no arcade mode endings. In Tekken 7, arcade mode is a fight.
Arcade mode.
Tekken 7 has an arcade mode that is 4 bouts, maybe 5, and that's it. It's just go through, like, it's just a shittier ghost battle, pretty much, because there's no arcade endings, there's no beginning, there's nothing. Then you have the story mode, which sucks. But it got some budget because NetherRealm made story modes popular. Fuck them. But
no, don't fuck them.
And then freaking all the characters who were not in the story mode, the actual proper story mode, got like episodes, I guess is what they called it. I forget, where they had one fight that had like maybe 2 paragraphs written out. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, the truth be told, it's not NetherRealm's fault that in doing a follow the leader kind of situation, just about it, well, pretty much everyone tripped up.
I mean, I blame everyone equally in the exchange, really. Actually, no. I blame NetherRealm less than I blame people like Capcom and Namco. But at the same time, like, I just wish NetherRealm didn't in the first place.
The thing is that that story mode structure does, like, obviously, like I've always said, there's problems in terms of not everybody can get the spotlight, and also there are some characters who just wind up as jobbers, like Baraka and Reptile. But broadly speaking, the idea of the story mode structure works for Mortal Kombat because, for the most part, the core cast in Mortal Kombat, like everyone in Mortal Kombat, is involved in the main struggle. Everyone in the Mortal Kombat story is involved in the whole conflict between, you know, Earthrealm and Outworld and Netherrealm and so on. Whereas with Street Fighter, Tekken, and a lot of other games, that doesn't really work because a lot of the times most of the cast ain't involved in the main conflict. Like, it really doesn't work for Tekken because, like, the main core conflict for Tekken is, of course, the Mishimas and the Kazumas and so on. And, like, Paul Phoenix doesn't give a shit about what's going on for the Mishimas and the Kazumas, you know?
Yeah.
Yoshimitsu's on another side of the planet doing something fucking else. We don't know what.
Yoshimitsu's on the other side of the planet trying not to die to Brian Fury.
Yeah. So it's this, with Tekken, it was this extra weird situation where, like, it was a story mode, sure, but, like, a quarter of the cast was present and everybody else was not involved.
The only good part, like, genuinely, the only good part of story mode that I can think of that I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool, is when Akuma showed up. Because I have a big fucking boner for Akuma.
Akuma is cool. As stupid as its follow-up was, I'm not gonna lie, Devil Kazuya shooting a devil laser into space to bring down a satellite was fucking rad. The face turn for oh shit, your guy, help me here.
Lee,
yeah, the face turn for Lee, I think, is a really strong choice.
Lee's been face for the last 3 games, dude.
Yeah, but now he's actually important, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
He's gone from just kind of like, man, I don't like Kazuya or Heihachi, to actively bankrolling all of the good guys in Tekken's story. Which, that's another thing with Tekken's story, is that the story mode structure also works kind of bizarrely because Tekken and Soul Calibur, and Tekken more so, everyone in Tekken turns evil. Like, they're all douchebags except for Lee, and Lee's just kind of stuck trying to bankroll anyone who has any hints of not being a douchebag, which are very rare.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure. Okay, there was one other point that was very hype for me, but that's just because of nostalgia. Because making the intro to Tekken 5 playable, regardless of the actual things they did with the story, was very cool. Now, story-wise, it fucking sucked, but the actual moment was cool.
Oh yeah, it was cool, but it did pose, I think, one of the 2 dumbest lines in the Tekken story mode. The first dumbest line is, of course, Kazuya shooting down the satellite made people forget that Kazuya was the devil. That one's pretty dumb. The other one that was really dumb was when they do the Tekken 5 intro and say, 3 months ago, and it's like, so you're telling me there's been like 3 fucking Tekken tournaments in 4 months? This shit don't make no sense. Like, Tekken 1 and 2 take place in, like, consequent years. Tekken 3 takes place like 20 years after Tekken 2, and then the rest of everything else just takes place in the space of like 5 months. What?
I mean, at the same time, I forget the actual like tournament story for Tekken 6. I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. And if with Tekken 6 they just go, oh yeah, there was one tournament that Tekken 4 through 6 just freaking went through, I'd be okay with that. But that doesn't work. That does not work. There were 2 tournaments. No, there were. What the fuck is up with this story? So
Tekken 5 had Jinpachi's tournament. Jinpachi did the tournament.
Yeah.
Because they thought Heihachi was dead. Heihachi did the tournament in Tekken 4, right?
I don't remember. I don't remember Tekken 4 mainly because I never played it, and as such, I don't remember the story because I never really looked that much into it. I guess, but freaking Tekken 4 happened. I guess
Tekken 6 was Jin's tournament to try and piss off God.
Yeah,
or the devil, whatever.
I mean, but. I forget if they actually made Jin's tournament actually proper, or if Jin just started World War 3 for no reason from the outside? Because I kind of believe that.
That's true. What they could do, well, the thing that sucks is that Tekken 4's ending links immediately into Tekken 5's beginning, right?
Yes.
So inherently, that has to mean that Tekken 4 and Tekken 5's tournament occurred right next to each other. But they could kind of get away with it if they said that Tekken 6 and 7 didn't have tournaments, and it's just been the aftermath of 5 still.
Yeah, and they could also... Yeah?
even then, how did Jin take over the Mishima Corporation so fucking quickly after 5?
I mean, let's see what I can come up with. I mean, technically, like I could see a thing where Tekken 4 and 5's tournament were the same, but because people thought that hey, like
Jinpachi organized the tournament.
well, here's the thing. Heihachi organized the tournament, but then Heihachi disappeared and Jinpachi showed up and he was like, alright, I'm bankrolling this now because I also own the Zaibatsu.
Also, yeah, Jinpachi just comes back from the dead and the board of directors at Mishima Zaibatsu are just like, okay, cool.
So yeah.
Also, why does nobody like who's invested like presumably Mishima Zaibatsu is a Zaibatsu inherently a publicly owned company or privately owned?
A Zaibatsu is a Yakuza front, dude. Like the Zaibatsu
that's privately owned.
Yeah,
I guess then that makes sense because like if it's privately owned, then there isn't a board of directors or shareholders they need to worry about.
No, it's just...
Though even then, I'd still raise questions of, like, how is Heihachi and Jin been able to, like, destroy the world through this money for seemingly no real profit?
Why not?
Like, the entirety of Tekken 7 is so fucking stupid because the entirety of that story mode is just Kazuya and Heihachi throwing money at each other and getting nothing done.
Yeah, the real question is, like, well, yeah, actually, like if they went ahead and did that, if they just retconned it, so Jinpachi just showed up and now own the Mishima Zaibatsu, and they can figure out the the actual reason. I'm not a writer, but Jinpachi showed up during the Tekken 4 tournament, and then just seized control, and now he was the final boss of the tournament. I'd be fine with that. Tekken 6 and 7's tournaments didn't happen because Tekken 5, Jinpachi literally made some place into the desert. So Tekken 6 and 7 is trying to rectify that. Or rather, they are, they can't really hold a tournament because the last one destroyed the entire like freaking village, I'm assuming. And freaking Jin just started World War 3 for no reason, seemingly. And people just showed up to try and beat him because he started World War 3 for some reason. And then Akuma.
Yeah.
And that's your story.
Also, why does anyone start Tekken tournaments when now there have been 3 instances of motherfuckers running the tournament getting killed?
Why not? It's fun.
Oh, man. Yeah, that some stories work with the story mode structure, some stories very much do not. Like, the weird thing about Tekken is Tekken couldn't even work with the Soul Calibur story structure. Because Soul Calibur used to be pretty good about having, like, the Soul Calibur 3 Weapon Master mode, or not Weapon Master, what was it called in Soul Calibur 3? Was it just story mode?
Which one? Chronicles of the Blade?
Yeah, Chronicles of the Blade, yeah. It's like, even, like, Tekken couldn't work with even that story where everyone gets their own little thing to do. Because virtually everyone in Tekken is a fucking joke, except for the Mishimas and Kazumas.
Well, not really. There is a lot of joke characters, but like Tekken seems to flip-flop on whether or not they want to actually do a joke thing with the joke characters. Because Paul Phoenix and freaking Law are just walking jokes and now, but they didn't used to be, so technically they could realistically turn them back, I guess, if they actually gave it effort, which they probably won't. But yeah, like I feel like for Tekken, the normal arcade story mode way that they did it in the olden times worked better because every character had a prologue that was animated and gave some background. Then you had the fights. There was one fight with animation that wasn't the boss fight, that was for a rival fight. Then you beat the boss and then you got the character's ending. And then some parts of what you went through were canon. Some parts, but not all, because not everyone beat the boss.
Yeah. Like, yeah, they could go back to doing that, but I feel like Tekken 6 and 7 have just gone so off the rails with so many of the characters, you know? Like, I mean, remember when Asuka's story was supposed to be that she wanted to restore the Kazuma name by bringing down both Kazuya, Jin, and Heihachi, and now her storyline is just the fucking love-hate relationship she has with Lily?
Yeah. I mean,
Dragunov started off as a serious threat. He was a Russian agent doing God knows what suspicious shit for the Russian government, and now he's like the singing dude.
He's mute.
No, he's mentioned to be a great singer.
But yeah, Dragunov can't have a character because they murked the character that was his rival. He can't have a character now.
That is absolutely true. Is Master Raven not an agent of the U.S. government?
No, Master Raven is just Raven's boss.
Because like Raven's whole thing was that he was kind of working as the American agent opposite Dragunov, right?
Well, Raven's thing was in 5 was that he was a secret agent trying to do something against Yoshimitsu and Kazuya and something else. Maybe I'm forgetting the whole thing. And then Dragunov got introduced in Dark Resurrection. I don't think they had ties then, but by 6 I believe they had. And then he died. But he's not dead. He's just dead to us.
Apparently. Well, you know that's not going to last.
He'll be back for Tekken Tag 3, but that's it.
Like, either Tekken 8 or Tag 3 is going to have Raven pull a Christie, right? Or pull an Eddie Gordo.
I mean, Tekken Tag 3 doesn't count because that's not canon.
Well, it's not canon, but Tekken 5 is.
Yeah?
Like, Eddie was still an alternate attire for Christie in Tekken 5, and then in Tekken 6 they got made into separate characters.
That's true, but I don't know how they could do the same thing for the Ravens in Tekken 8 because Master Raven has a sword and normal Raven doesn't.
He has a what?
Master Raven has a sword and normal Raven doesn't. Like that's just.
Oh, that's true, but
like they changed. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Like they changed enough of the character to not be the same. Like they actually avoided an Eddie Christie situation because they changed Master Raven enough so that they wouldn't be able to just put a skin on Raven's skin on her.
Oh yeah, that's true, but that's all the more reason for them just to do like the Tekken 6 arrangement where Master Raven and Raven exist at the same time. Which, of course, will make regular Raven look a bit silly that he's not the master, but, that's part of the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God, if they have Raven and Master Raven in the same game, you know that Raven's going to get a joke ending where he just gets bitched out by her.
Yeah. Or they just do a retread of Asuka's Tekken 5 ending.
What was that?
Asuka's Tekken 5 ending is that I forget if Jin beats Jinpachi, but Jin is there and Jinpachi dies, and then Jin falls on Asuka's boobs, and then Asuka beats Jin up, and that's her ending.
Oh right, incest, great.
Yeah.
I forgot they were doing that angle at first with Asuka before Lily got introduced. Thank God for Lily.
Yeah. On one hand, I don't like freaking my girl being stuck in the freaking she lesbian relationship, but it worked out better for Asuka.
Yeah. Dude, you were saying my girl stuck in the whatever. I thought for certain you're gonna make a fucking stepsister in the washing machine joke. I mean, Harada would have if Lily had never been introduced, so hey.
Yeah. I mean, no, Harada wouldn't have because Jin only has one love, Hwoarang.
That's true. Well, no, even worse than that, I'd like to imagine that if that continued into Tekken 6, Xiao Yu's arcade ending would just be a shot of her walking away from a fucking shallow grave holding a shovel. And coming out of the shallow grave is just a shitty wooden little symbol that just says Asuka.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
But instead we got anime.
Yeah. What shall you even do in the games these days? Like, she's supposed to be Jin's heart, but like Jin's clearly lost it, so he doesn't need her anymore.
She's still trying to get together with Jin. and that's pretty much it. I mean, she gets her ass beaten by Heihachi, and then she leads them to Jin or something like that. I forget what happens in 7.
Okay, I forget. Did they ever confirm whether Jun is alive or dead?
I think I actually think this came up recently on one of Harada's videos, and I think like because he has a list on, or rather the studio or whatever, his team made a list of all of the characters, like blood types and shit like that, and their birthdays, and he just made comments about a couple of the characters while he was going through it. And when he got to June, he's like, I don't know if she's alive. so not even Harada knows if June is alive.
Yeah, it seems like one of those situations where they'd want to keep it a mystery, but it's kind of like, why bother keeping it a mystery if you're never going to do anything with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, people aren't going to be sitting around that often theorizing about whether June's dead or alive. Oh, speaking of dead or alive, any news on that front?
I think there's not going to be any more games for a while, just because people didn't buy all of the clothing DLC.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what I remember hearing. But it's like I say that's what I remember hearing. But that's what I remember hearing about people complaining about nobody playing DOA. So
okay, this is probably not that hot of a take, but I feel like we need a new fighting game series. Ideally, one other than Project L, because League of Legends has already got bullshit. Because it's like a lot of the problems we're running into here is games with long legacies getting hyped up to be things they can't wind up being, and they just kind of wind up floundering with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people making indie fighting games, but that's the thing. Like, it's indie stuff, and while it's not necessarily like inherently worse, in fact, a lot of times it's actually better, but it doesn't have the name recognition and stuff like that. Like, you know, it's a different thing when someone goes, "Hey, I'm making this fighting game that does this thing, and this thing. It has this aesthetic style," and then some people buy it because they're into the things listed, but others will not, because either they weren't told about it or they're just not into the stuff that game does. And an indie game dev can't, like, if you want to make it big, an indie game dev can't afford that. Like, I'm not saying that every indie game dev needs to spam every single place that they know with advertisements for their game, because that's even worse. But that's just the thing of being indie. Like, eventually they will reach that point where the word of mouth will carry them enough to actually get an install base large enough to be noticed, like Schoolgirls or like Thames Fighting Herds. But at the same time, what we're really missing is just that big studios are not doing anything aside from their main series, and it's hurting the variety of the genre, really, because it's just okay, so here's a new Mortal Kombat or Injustice. And NetherRealm, I have to commend them. NetherRealm is actually making different things that are not just Mortal Kombat, because Injustice exists. So, you know, they're better than most.
They don't want to do more combat anymore because they keep trying to torch it.
Yeah. But so, like, you know, here's a new Street Fighter. I will not get anything else. Like, I will not get a new Red Earth, even though I personally wouldn't want Red Earth, but that's because I just don't remember the game, honestly. But, like, you know, there's no new Darkstalkers, there's no new freaking Plasma Sword, there's no new anything that's not Street Fighter related, really.
Yeah. And it's a problem of, like, nowadays game development is so costly, and fighting games aren't, you know, not as popular as they used to be. So those two factors combine to make it where publishers only want to make the safest of safe investments. And the safest investment is virtually always use a brand name that people recognize and are nostalgic for.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say the safest bet is Virtua Fighter.
Yes, always Virtua Fighter. Even if you're not Sega, make a Virtua Fighter anyways.
But yeah. That's... Yeah, go ahead.
Like, the thing is, all the new fighting game franchises that we see come out nowadays that are still, you know, relatively high budget are all fucking licensed fighting games.
Yeah. And I
Like
mean,
Dungeon Fighter is going to be new, but it's licensed as fuck.
yeah, and another issue is that it's kind of a paradoxical issue because fighting games don't have a budget because they don't sell well. Because there's no single player content, so there's no single player content, which in turn like makes it so people don't buy the games because there's no single player content. It just goes back and forth like that.
Yes, in the current cycle of like fighting game history, as it is, the only thing that is still managing to grow the fighting game player base is Maximilian Dude, Say Jam, Wooly, Justin Wong, Brian F. You know,
Yeah, it's
like,
the people doing the word of mouth on. Hey, these games used to actually have some single player stuff, but not that much because because the technology wasn't there, and now they don't have single player stuff because there's no budget. Oh, cool, huh?
yeah. Like the fighting games no longer are really marketing themselves anymore. They are being carried by YouTubers and Discords and subreddits.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, honestly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, fighting games are like this issue with fighting games is part of a wider issue with video games right now, because you can see this in virtually every fighting game genre. Oh, not fighting game. Every video game genre right now is that by far the safe investments are getting made much, much, much more than any risky, interesting ideas, which generally you can expect to be the major trend in any situation because investors always want safe investments. But on the PS2, in the PS2 era or before that, video games had such low budgets that there are more instances of trying to go for high risk, high reward strategies. But nowadays, you can't get a big enough audience off of a high risk to really pay for it. Or at least so many investors have been burned by risks that didn't pay off that you don't see those games anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame because I tend to enjoy those weird ideas that people can have. Like I'm still trying to get Biomutant. I've been trying to buy that game for the last at least the last 4 months. I've been looking on it since before it came out. I just never have the fucking money to buy it, and it hurts.
You're looking to get what?
Biomutant.
Biomutant. Yes, Biomutant. Okay. So that is not one I can get you for Christmas because there's no way you can run that on your PC.
Yep. Like the funny story is that I found a used copy of it for $20, which I could afford at the time, and I tried to get it, and it was out of stock, and so I then canceled the order, and then it went back in stock, and then I tried to order it again, and it went out of stock again. So I think that was a front for something else, and I wasn't supposed to be the one who bought it. Because it's very suspicious that 2 weeks in a row the same thing gets put up and the same thing gets put down when I try to order it. But yeah. But yeah, like I miss those like janky little AA games where they didn't get too much of a budget, but they're not PS1 games. Like well, they're not PS1 games in PS2 era. Is a better way to put it. But yeah, like I liked Shyness. Shyness was an RPG that was crowdfunded, and it showed. It was also very French. Well, not really, but it was French. Yeah. And it was just the saddest thing because the game came out in like 2014, and it really felt like it was trying to be Final Fantasy VII specifically, but with actual combat controls in the battle instead of normal RPG battle systems. Like it tried to do Devil May Cry in Final Fantasy, and it didn't really work. But they tried their best, and then the game ends on a cliffhanger because they wanted to do more, and they never got the money.
Yep. Cliffhanger endings are always a bad choice because you can't guarantee that you'll get the sequel.
Yeah.
Even if it's a big success and you make all the money in the world, the guy writing the games can still fucking die.
Yeah. Although I am fine. At least they didn't do the classic blunder of okay, the ending is only a cliffhanger. Like technically there is a small confined story, and then there's also a cliffhanger ending to set up the next games if they were to actually exist, which they don't.
Yeah.
So at least that's nice.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of those games, but not that many that have come out in on this or on the last console generation, and that was 8 years. 8. Like most of the things that of similar caliber that come out are like Eurojank, which has its fans, but I'm not one of them, sadly. And like I'd say, fighting games sort of fall into the same thing because fighting games, like, you know, it's the thing of like fighting games never really justified being $60. It depends. It depends on what you compare it to. Like, you know, if you're looking at if you're looking at SNES fighting games, they were probably justified in taking $60 for them. If you're looking at PS1 fighting games, it's starting to buckle. If you're looking at mid 2000s, no. But as time goes on, the game fighting games just don't warrant their price tag really because like if you're not into the gameplay enough to actually be able to just shell and you're not able to just shell out all of that money for fucking no reason pretty much, then fighting games don't really warrant their price tag because fighting games used to be like video games used to be a lot closer to what fighting games are. So back then, the $60 price tags were justified, but now you need to pay $100 for less than what other games are.
Yeah.
And people are not going to choose like as good as Strive looks, for example, or as good as I don't know what else I could point out that a lot of people would buy just of looks. I don't know, whatever. As good as Strive looks, are people going to choose Strive for $100 because that's how much money you need to spend to actually have some sort of a roster? Would people buy Strive for $100 or would they buy the collector's edition of Dark Souls? They would buy the collector's edition of Dark Souls because it has content.
Yeah. Like, the only fighting game that I can think of that I could honestly just see people spending that much money on is Mortal Kombat. And that's because Mortal Kombat has all that tower shit for getting loot.
Yeah, that on all of the licensed characters.
Like, Tekken and Mortal Kombat are the only two I can see people putting that much time into because there is motivation to get dozens of hours of content out of the game, you know?
I mean, I don't see Tekken because, like, here's the thing. I'm looking at it from like from a casual's perspective, and like Mortal Kombat I can see because of the towers and because it has a story mode and also arcade endings, and it also has freaking all of the licensed characters that people might like if they're into horror stuff. So there's a lot of things that I can point out about Mortal Kombat that appeals to the casual people. Tekken has Akuma. It has a half-assed story mode, and it also has paid frame data. I don't know.
It does have ghost battles and unlockable customization items, which I think are a pretty big part of it. Because I think a big part of what keeps people coming back to Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2 both is playing with your dolls, right?
Well, yeah, but is the customization in Tekken 7 like enough to warrant people actually buying the game for it? Because I don't think so. Because 80 to 90% of the customization items are shared, and yeah, that's pretty much like 80 to 90% of the items are shared and also not good. Really.
Like I would agree with you. There are serious problems with it, but like I think Tekken 7 did sell pretty fucking well, especially for a fighting game in the modern day. Like Tekken was definitely outpacing Street Fighter, at least for a while there. It may be different now.
Tekken sold well. I should know. I pre-ordered the game. It was the second game I pre-ordered, I believe. So yeah, but like at the same time, like once that's my thing, I guess, is that like I bought the game before the game came out. I played it on release. I played it around release. There's definitely a review up of me talking about my thoughts around that were in freaking in season 1. But we're on season 4 or 5, I think, for Tekken 7, and there's not much more content than there was in season 1. And the season 1 content was fine for season 1. And then there's also Tekken Ball, which you had to pay for. And that's a very little amount of content, I guess, if you like bowling games, which I do, so I'd be fine with it. But yeah, but it's the game's been out for how long? And like freaking the last 6 years, I want to say. And not only is there not only is there not a lot of content for single player people, but the content that is there is not really replayable aside from ghost battles. But that's all you have.
And even then, you can't really say like, well, there's plenty of multiplayer content, because it's like, well, no, the online actually feels kind of bad.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, it's definitely a very paradoxical situation. I mean, like, I try to think about like what could break fighting games out of this situation, but like, even if Maximilian Dood and Wooly and so on were able to really boost the numbers up, I don't think that would motivate change in publishers, because developers might go and say, hey, we did X amount of numbers this past year. We think that it would be fair if you gave us X amount of budget to expand on the game. We think it might expand our audience, add a new single player mode. And old publishers might have said that, but modern publishers now are just so aggressively risk averse that they would say, no, the amount of content that you put out last time worked and turned out profits, so we want you to just do the same thing again.
Yeah, I don't think numbers would help. I think an uproar would. Like if FGC content creators came together and went, okay, we got rollback into fighting games. We now need to put single player content into fighting games, and then everyone kept picking. If no one shut up about it for a couple of years, then there might be some small change, but I don't expect anything to really happen.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing. If they're able to make the publishers hear about it in some way, like some developers can sweet talk publishers into doing things. It does happen. Like it seems to me that there aren't a lot of good corporate schmoozers in video game devs anywhere, but like it is bizarre the amount of things that happen at the corporate level simply because one of the corporate guys got sweet talked into it. Like you would imagine there'd be more like, oh well, we got to go through this and this and that and this, but like the corporate guys are actually resoundingly incompetent. It's kind of incredible. And this is speaking from my own family's experiences of dealing with corporate. Like, it's not even so much that the corporate guys are huffing their own farts. It's almost that a lot of them are just lazy, you know?
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's usually what they accuse everyone else of being. But anyways, I think it would partly come down to sweet talking, because right, like how much stuff in video games do you hear about having only happened because of elevator pitches, right?
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts only happened because of an elevator pitch. Sora is only in Smash Brothers because of an elevator pitch. You know?
Yeah.
I think part of it is, yeah, we just need to get someone in fighting game development who is like ultra charismatic and can just schmooze all the corporate assholes. But I think part of it also, yes, is trying to make publishers hear about single player content, which could be next up on the plate after the whole rollback thing is dealt with, because Max has already talked about that a lot. And like, annoying as he can be, and as much of his sense of humor is stupid, Max has a lot of fucking swing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think if Max were to start doing it, then you'd start seeing lots of guys follow up on that. Which, of course, like you said, it would take several years. That's always the thing, is like, nothing happens quickly in video game development or in corporate. So, like, Max has been calling for rollback in more fighting games since, what, 2014 or 2015? And we are really only now seeing the fruits be born from that. Like, from those initial seeds. So, if Max were to, like, in 2022 or 2023, start laying the seeds for, like, we need to see more awesome single-player content fighting games, and he starts doing a bunch of, like, videos and streams where he's playing games, fighting games that are renowned for having good single-player content, then we would maybe see in 2027 or 2028 some fighting games start coming out with really good single-player content.
Yeah.
That's just part of the thing. And I mean, you can see this in like any genre, because like how many Fortnite ripoffs have come out in the last year or two? when Fortnite started really being a thing in like 2016 or 2017.
I mean, one Fortnite was one too many. So,
Well, yeah, but
well, no, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. One PUBG was one too many. There we go. That's the line.
that's true. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. Like PUBG, like I can deal with people liking PUBG and Fortnite, and there's always that thing that people point out. Fortnite's kind of good for gaming because it gets the little kiddies to play something else.
I mean,
It's just
my
not
thing
for
isn't.
me.
Yeah, my thing isn't the people playing the game. I just don't like the game, and I don't like how it's only present. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it is annoying seeing it everywhere, but I mean, I just kind of put up with it because I mean, there's always gonna be little kid things that you don't get everywhere, right? Because I mean, our parents had to put up with Barney for God knows how long, right?
I mean, they didn't have to put up with Barney for me because I didn't like Barney.
Oh yeah, but you'd go into a store and there'd be Barney shit all over the shelves, especially in Christmas. And there was the whole Tickle Me Elmo thing that killed people. All right, so I believe that we can call that a fighting games
We
are.
didn't talk about what we played these weeks.
Well, I didn't play anything, and I gotta go clean up cat shit.
Ah, well, I did play things.
What'd you play?
So, I managed to pick up the Let's Play 2, Garo, and also KOF 2000.
Ooh, on what platforms?
PS4.
PS4.
Yeah.
They've put KF 2004. They've put KF 2000 on PS4.
Yeah. It's an emulated PS2
It seems
game.
like honestly a waste of time. Oh yeah, I never failed on PS4. And I'm aware of why they emulate it. Like it just seems pointless to port forward the KOFs that aren't 98, 2, 11, 13, or 15. You know,
It seems pointless to you because you don't follow the
like
story.
I mean, it's good stuff for that's true.
It's not the same if you just look online, but also
yes.
I can barely understand you. Did you get roboting there?
All right, so Garo, Last Blade, and KOF. What's up with them?
So I have played all of these games aside from KOF 2000 before. Once again, like the thing about my experience with KOF is that I definitely played more than one KOFs when I was growing up, but I've played them when I was 7. And so all of them blend together, kind of like I just remember that there were ones that K-Dash was in and ones that K-Dash was not in. And that's pretty much all I remember. I also remember fighting Orochi at least once, but that's pretty much it. And my knowledge of KOF lore is a bit short because of that, because I played them when I was 7, so I could barely read, if at all, and definitely not in English. So
Yeah.
So let's see which one
was it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is 2000 the one with 4 men to a team?
Yes.
Is it also the one where you can call in strikers?
Yes.
God, that's an entirely different game than I would imagine, you know?
Yeah, I booted the game up. I saw the 4-man teams and I was like, wait, no, why? So then I chose 4 characters, and then I saw how the striker system worked, and then I just shouted out, Marvel! Because it is.
Like, how crazy can the striker combos get?
Pretty crazy.
Can you get infinites with the strikers?
Probably. I haven't been able to find any, but I'm not really good at doing KOF combos to begin with, so hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, freaking, like, it's so weird because there's so many characters locked behind being strikers. Like, if you play they have a party, what they call the party mode, which is survival, more or less. One-on-one survival mode. And, freaking, like,
yeah.
if you beat 14 people, you unlock the Team USA as strikers.
The Team USA only has strikers? What?
Yes, Brian Bettler, Lucky D, or Heavy D, and Lucky Glauber.
Lucky Glauber.
Yeah, they are all in the game as strikers.
But only strikers.
Yes. And this is the big issue of the game. This is the big issue of the game is that like the strikers are not playable even though some of them are cooler than the characters who are in the game, because like some of the strikers are game's kids, just straight up game's kids are in the game as strikers. Iori gets a redesign.
What?
Yeah, Iori has a redesign that's a lot cooler than any of the designs he's actually had in the games. That's also a striker, because sometimes they just redesign the character that's doing the striking, and then just call it another character. There's
Okay.
There's Saishu Kusanagi is in the game as a striker. So is Rugal Bernstein.
What?
Yeah.
He's dead.
Who cares? By the way, KOF 2000 is canon. I just want to note.
I know.
But yeah, so that who else? King Leon or Lion? Yeah, King Lion is also a striker. I'm forgetting someone that was very funny, but I don't know. So whatever. Either way, a lot of the characters who I don't know as actually playable characters, or even like can sometimes be cooler than the playable characters. Because one of the strikers you can get if you choose Kyo is Shio, who seems like Kyo's younger brother, I guess. Like he just looks like Kyo in a different outfit, really.
Really? It's not Shingo.
No, it's not Shingo. Shingo is playable.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Shingo is on a team with Lin, and I'm forgetting who else, but he just has a team of assholes thrown together. Benimaru, Lin, Shingo, and someone else that I'm forgetting. They are on a team.
Right, that was the time where Benimaru was pissed about Kyo stealing his spotlight.
Yeah, and Kyo and Iori.
Was that not?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was that not the game where they had Lin's? Like Lin had that like ninja master he hated, and he was like a striker for final boss. He was like called Robert Ford or something bizarrely mundane and American for a ninja.
I don't think so, because the final boss is Zero, or Clone Zero, rather.
Right. Clone Zero just does his own moves. Like, doesn't Real Zero call on that ninja dude as a striker in at least KOF 2002?
Maybe? He summons Chrysalid and someone else, but I forget who. So yeah, he may.
Well, he calls on the lion as well. I'm looking it up.
But yeah, freaking. I was going to point something out. There's a lot of the characters are weird because all of the characters were made freaking charge characters. Like Robert. Robert is a charge character. Yeah.
Robert is a charge character?
Yes. For some reason.
Yeah. Right. That they brought that version back for 2002, but as his alternate variation, his EX variation. Ron, yes, Ron the ninja.
Nice.
Okay, so Ron is a Nest's agent. His blood is poison. He is a pivotal subplot character that is yet to be playable. Hang on, let's see. He has a rivalry with someone. I could have swore. I'm pretty sure he's rivals with Lin. And he is also the father of Duo Lon for some reason.
All right.
Isn't Duo Lon the dude that everybody thought was a chick?
Maybe.
Nope,
no, that's Bao.
Yeah, Duo Lon was Ash's other teammate who wasn't Shinlong or Oswald.
Ah.
Shinwoo, not Shinlong. Shinwoo. Very different. I always fuck that up, but yeah, Shinwoo. Man, I hope they bring back Shinwoo. I liked him. He was just like street tough punch man. I'm a big fan of characters like that.
I didn't play the Ash games.
Yeah. 11 is a great game. 11 is a great game. And if you can get the opportunity to get your hands on it, I highly recommend it.
I mean, if they release it for PS4, I'll probably get it.
Yeah. 11 was also the only game before 14 that had Oswald, so that was cool.
Yeah. But so yeah, the strikers are cool. They like it's a weird thing when to pick your four to pick four characters that you actually want to play and then having to choose. Okay, so who becomes the freaking the assist character from Marvel vs. Capcom 1? Because that's all they can do.
Oh, that's how it works?
Yeah, you pick four characters and then you choose one of them to be the assist character. And then once you choose a character to be the assist character, you can choose between like their normal self or someone else if they have that, or another version of them. Pretty much.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that does make sense because I don't think anybody wants KOF to go to fucking 8 rounds, but
yeah. But for example, if you choose Kim's team, which is Kim, Chang, Choi, and Jun, then you can choose between having like if you want to play as Jun, like let's say that really because I don't remember who he can change with, but if you want to play as Jun, then you can choose between having Kim or Swale as a striker. You can choose between having Chang, Slim Chang, or Kim Dong-hwan, and you can also choose between Choi, Tall Choi, and Kim Jae-hoon.
Okay, Slim Chang and what Choi?
Tall
Choi. Tall Choi should have just been the Choi we got from the beginning.
Yeah. I actually think
Slim Chang. I've never. Oh, that's where. Okay, I feel like I do remember. CVS 2 has a Slim Chang Easter egg, and I was like, what the fuck? Where'd that joke come from? Now it makes sense.
I think Tall Choi in Japan is called like Sexy Choi or something like that.
Oh no. There should be no such thing as sexy Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. So yeah.
How was Last Blade?
Last Blade was a game that I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy again, just because I remember it being really good. Like I straight up preferred it to Sam Show Good. But at the same time, I was a little kid when I last played it. The Last Blade 2 is probably the best fighting game from that era, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've always kind of wondered why they never brought it back. It seems like Last Blade would really hit well with that group of people that like the concept of a fighting game, but dislike, fighting on a 2D plane and throwing fireballs at each other, you know? The kinds of guys who are like, I like the idea of a 1v1 fighting game, but it bugs me that I have to punch them so many times for them to die. You know?
I don't know what you've seen about Last Blade, because it doesn't play like Sam Show.
Last Blade, if memory serves, I've definitely watched the fisticuffs of it. It's the game where you play as samurai and you run around on a 3D plane and you can get one-hit kills.
No, you're thinking about Bushido Blade.
Oh, Bushido Blade. Oh, I own Last Blade 2. I just never played it. Right. I own Last Blade 2 on good old games. I've just never played it. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to try it then if you have
I straight up, like, I played Last Blade 2 and Garo back to back, and I kind of prefer Last Blade 2, but I'm gonna explain why. Because overall,
Last Blade 2 has gorgeous sprites.
Yes, Last Blade 2 has gorgeous sprites. It also has groove select.
Yeah, I need to install this.
So, Last Blade 2 has 3 grooves you can choose between. It has power and speed, which are the ones you can normally choose between. and the power is more footsies based and you know, like closer to Samsho, I guess, and speed is Marvel. Then
Yeah.
there's also extreme groove, which you need to input a code for. That's not hard to do, but it's balanced. Like it's not a break the game or groove that you can choose. It's actually balanced. They just didn't put it on the screen for some reason.
So you're telling me it's not custom groove?
No, it's not custom groove. It's just literally the step between speed and power grooves. So you get the power, like you get some of the power that you would get with the power groove, but you also get to do Marvel combos. And the way this is balanced is that you also play as a glass cannon if you choose extreme.
Ah, so it's a Kuma mode.
Yeah, it's a Kuma mode, which is good for me.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, extreme mode, because all of the groups have their own color schemes like they did in Alpha, and the extreme groove usually has the black and red color scheme. So I'm cool.
Eh. It's
Yeah.
true.
What?
Oh, I made a shitty joke.
All right, the Discord cut you off.
Yeah, I think Discord's noise suppression is what cut me off because I was making a stupid noise.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
And it's been a lot of fun trying to remember how I used to play characters and stuff like that. And funnily enough, the characters I remembered being good are still good. The only character that I wasn't as big on it now is Setsuna, but that's partially because I changed how I play fighting games since I last played Setsuna. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it doesn't have too many characters, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It doesn't. That's the only thing that I can raise up against it. It doesn't have too many characters. That kind of sucks. I kind of wish there were more. But hey, the game's still a lot of fun.
Speaking of games that don't have too many characters, Garo.
Yeah. Oh, before I move on to Garo, I just wanted to point out that for both Last Blade and Garo, I immediately got all of the. I immediately played through with all of the characters. So I am one achievement away from platinuming the Last Blade 2.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, Garo actually, technically. But yeah. So I don't even know what else there is to say about Garo, because it's fun. It's sort of fun.
Yeah.
The AI can be annoying, especially I'm forgetting the name of the girl. There's the Gato's little sister.
Yes.
Hotaru girl. Yeah, Hotaru. Hotaru can be annoying because her back huddle punch is just it's a move that hits 50 times in a row, and the AI likes to do it with input reads, and that can get a bit annoying.
Yeah. How have they not?
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just gonna say, how have they not brought back more of the Garo characters?
I don't know. I guess they just can't animate the freaking, like they don't want to redo the animating the freaking the cards for the characters with and I guess they feel like Kushtudbot's character is lost if he doesn't do a fucking cross up with the bear.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you let the animations play out, then before every stage there's a little animation that plays out in like a half of the screen, where they show both the stage and the character you're gonna fight. And Kushtudbot's is that he and a bear both do a dynamic entry on each other, and then they fall down and then bow.
That's what I'm talking about. Why haven't they brought back Kushtudbot? He's awesome.
I mean, most characters, yeah.
Like his name is lame, of course, but other than that, he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
most of Garo Past is awesome.
Most of Garo is awesome. The only characters that I like, yeah, the only characters I don't like are the guy who's a cop, Ryan something.
Yeah, Kevin Ryan kind of needs to stay trapped in Garo because he's just too strong.
Yeah, Kevin Ryan and Freeman.
Freeman is kind of lame. Like,
I mean,
like Carl line from Melty Blood is just Freeman but cooler.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that makes Freeman lame is not anything that actually has to do with the playable character Freeman. It's lore for me, because Freeman is just the edgiest fucking asshole from the 90s, and like, there's a thing to be said here, because I usually like edgy characters and stuff like that, but like sometimes, like, you know, there's amount of edge where even I go like, okay, no, fucking stop. Like I didn't like Helsing and was it Alpha Lead? I think it was Alpha Lead that came out around that time. That was just all edge and no substance. And Freeman is cut from the same cloth, in my opinion.
He doesn't fit in the SNK universe.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah.
There's Choi, and Choi's a serial killer, but Choi is, for one thing, partly reformed, and for another thing, a fucking joke, you know?
Yeah. And I mean,
like, other than that,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The real thing. You can't have Freeman and Iori in the same game.
Yeah.
Because Iori's just Freeman, but way better.
Yeah, because Iori actually has a character that's not just, oh man, I love to kill. I don't know when I will never freaking next get to kill. Yeah, Freeman's ending, like, they knew that Freeman sucked, because Freeman's ending is that he gets shot.
Ha! That's why he's not in KOF. Okay.
Like, Freeman's ending is that he gets shot and falls into a river.
Ah! Oh, that's great. Man, I feel like in one of the KOF games, they have to have a Howard family team, right? They got to have one that's Geese, Krauser, and Kane, right? They have to.
Geese, Rock, and Kane would work better. Maybe.
Ooh, I love Rock. I do like Rock slightly more than Krauser. The thing is, I love all four of them. But the thing is, like, to me, it'd be a good villain team to have the three. Are they siblings? Is Kane Geese's brother?
Kane is Geese's brother-in-law.
Right, and I forget, is Krauser Geese's brother or cousin?
I think Krauser is Geese's brother, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I think there was something along the lines of, like, they're brothers, but Geese fucking hated their dad and Krauser didn't. So Krauser stayed in Germany, but Geese immigrated to the US or something like that. Or maybe the inverse.
Who knows?
Either which way, like, that would just be a badass team of, like, three evil Howard, you know, not siblings, but close enough.
Yeah.
Especially if they set them up to contrast with Rock on another team, you know?
Yeah, on one hand, that would work. On the other, it kind of feels like Kane is kind of tied with Grant, with story-wise.
That's true. That is true, yeah. I mean, they've separated Geese from Billy Kane, though, before, haven't they?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, have that versus have a team that's like the Sons of Evil or something. And it's Ash, Adelaide, and is there anyone else who's a heroic son of a villain in KOF?
Yo.
Wait, Ash's dad was evil, so have it be Ash, Rock, and Adelaide on a team.
Yeah, you said Ash to begin with. You skipped on Rock.
Oh, shit, I didn't say Rock. Damn it. Shit, Ash, Rock, and Adelaide as a team would be badass. I'm sure lots of people would disagree with me, but I'd love that team.
I mean, I definitely love 2/3 of that team.
I just love for them to do something with Adelaide, you know?
Yeah, just have all of the Bernsteins. Freaking Rugal, Adelaide, and then Mice and Vachura on one slot. Because fuck people who like Mice and Vachura, I guess.
Well, they could do Adelaide's sister.
Well, yeah, but isn't she a pacifist?
I don't think she's a pacifist. I think she's just a wimp. Which, I mean, that didn't stop them from putting Roll in MVC2. Hey.
True. Imagine if they put Adelaide's sister in the game and all of her moves suck except for her desperation super, which is a freaking gigantic pressure that does 100%.
Yeah, for a little bit, like, she, like, starts to look like her dad a little bit. She gets her dad's one evil eye, does the gigantic pressure, and then shakes it off. Like, what was that? Yeah. What happened?
Although I don't know how they would give her the evil eye, because that was Orochi.
Well, it could be like isn't Orochi? Hang on, isn't Orochi hereditary?
I don't know. All I remember reading that the reason Rugel's one eye glowed, whatever. So yeah, the reason freaking Rugel had a glowy eye is because he Gurnitz, I think Gurnitz gave him Orochi's eye, and Rugel ripped his eye out and put Orochi's eye in it to get the Sharingan.
Ooh, okay, then it might. Yeah, then Adelaide and the daughter might not have the Orochi, because I know that like that's part of why it's such a big twist that Leona isn't actually Hydern's daughter; she's adopted. Okay, I phrased that wrong. That's why it's an important twist that Leona is Hydern's adopted daughter instead of biological daughter, because Hydern doesn't have Orochi, but Leona does.
But wait, does that mean Leona and Iori are related?
Possibly. It always comes into the question of like, I don't think they've ever explained how Orochi got started, right? Because it could be like one guy screwed up and it's just his descendants throughout the generations, or it could be several cursed bloodlines. You know?
Yeah, true.
Anyways, so with those all said, those are 3 good fighting games, correct?
Yeah.
Good. I like good fighting games, and I dislike bad. No, that's false. I even like bad fighting games. But anyways, what's the like objectively worst fighting game that you love?
Basara Cross probably.
Basara Cross. Ooh.
I mean, that's one where I don't believe I ever actually got to play. Like, I did everything in my power to try and actually play the real game, but I don't think I could. So I only experienced it through like Mugen transitions, which may not be 100%, you know. So yeah, the worst fighting game that I love, that I have actually played the original version of. If you have an answer, then go and I'll think about mine. But
for me, I'll go with X-Men Next Dimension.
Oh, is that the 3D one?
That's the 3D one. There's a lot of charm to that game. There's a lot of love put into it. At the same time, there's some broken shit in that game. Did you know that if the opponent is grounded in that game and Sabretooth does his jumping command grab, it connects?
Oh.
Regardless of where Sabretooth is on the screen?
Nice.
Which makes an infinite, by the way, because that command grab has a knockdown.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's considered one of the few 9-to-1 matchups in gaming is Sabretooth versus Gambit, and I don't remember why Gambit gets it particularly hard.
He's too misogynistic or whatever.
Yeah, Sabretooth is especially effective against sexists. What? Yeah. Alright, what's your answer?
Well, do we count all of the subgenres?
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah.
Okay.
Do not say Brawlhalla.
What?
I said do not say Brawlhalla.
Oh no. No, I don't like Brawlhalla. It has Xavier Woods. Why would I like it? Alright, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4.
Yeah, that's a solid pick too, yeah.
Like,
Naruto's a weird one where I would say it's objectively bad in terms of like game design balance perhaps, but like there was a lot of love put into those games. But then I guess I was saying the same thing about Next Dimension, wasn't I?
Yeah. I mean the thing with 4 specifically is that content-wise the game doesn't have all too much. Well, it's weird because the game didn't do its best to adapt the last arc of Naruto, which I mean it was shit to begin with, so you know I don't fault them. But still, the other arcs got like proper walk around RPG game modes, and this one didn't. On the other hand, 4 also has an RPG walk around game mode that is just set after the events of the story, which is kind of okay. And I wanted to point at 4 specifically just because I felt like 4 was the game where they actually started putting like depth into the fighting mechanic, because there was some depth in the first 3 as well, but because you could switch out on the fly between your characters instead of just having strikers, it made it so you didn't have to consider just what they would do if you spawn them in as strikers, but you also had to think about what combo routes those characters got and how you could link them together between the characters.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how we would do it, because not only does that game have delay based netcode, but it's also region locked, I'm pretty sure. But but I wouldn't mind playing a couple rounds against y'all in that game just to fucking mess around with, because it's stupid how you can actually get kind of hype shit out of the game even though there's no depth, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably have to try that one someday, because despite my own personal spite for despite what I will gladly say about Naruto about insulting it as an objective quality, I did actually pretty well enjoy Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 3.
Yeah, 3
and
3
I pretty well
yeah,
beat it, except that I pretty well beat it 100% except for Kabuto. I couldn't get Kabuto at the final Kabuto fight.
Yeah, the final Kabuto fight sucked. I 100%ed all of them. Maybe not the first one, I'll forget. Maybe not the first one because it just retread stuff. Like the thing about the first Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm is that Naruto Ultimate Ninja, the series on the PS2, which was its predecessor, did everything it did but better, more or less.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the Storm, like the first installment of Storm was a switch between the ways the games were being done, and you could feel that. But I feel like it didn't warrant some of the things, like you could tell were just trying to figure out what to do with the series now that they actually have a third dimension in the fights and stuff like that. But all of it fell flat in my opinion, pretty much.
Yeah.
2 and 3 were fine. I played enough of 2 to unlock freaking, I forget his name. Lars. I unlocked Lars in Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2.
Oh right, they did that. I forgot about that shit.
He has a specific design just for that game.
I mean, Lars is probably the one character out of Tekken I'd pick to go in Naruto.
Yeah. And then 3 was good, and then 4 was technically worse in any front that wasn't the actual battle design.
Yeah.
So yeah. I might have to look into buying those games again just so we can do videos on them. Like, even if we're not playing against each other. Because I'd be down to do some Naruto videos just because of, like, on one hand it would be funny for us to get trained by Naruto's shitty writing. And also those games can be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Alright.
So I suppose fighting games were then.
Yes, fighting games were, and now I need to go clean up cat shit.
Alright.